Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Yes? Can you see the screen? Okay. So welcome to the analysis of the Union Budget 22-23 Part 2. In the last week, we had carried out the analysis of the Part 1 of the budget. And in the last week, we had discussed two important themes from the budget. One theme was with respect to the infrastructure sector, and the other one was with respect to banking and finance. So in today's class, we will be covering the remaining themes from this year's budget. So by the end of this particular class, we will be done with the analysis of this year's Union Budget. And next Sunday, we'll start with the analysis of the economic survey. Okay. So before starting with the class, two important announcements. I hope all of you must be knowing that pre-pariksha test is live, right? So in case if you have not yet attempted the pre-pariksha test, please attempt the pre-pariksha test. So today is the last day. So some of you must be waiting that I will do a perfect preparation for the prelims and then I'll attempt the pre-pariksha test. Please understand there's no concept of perfect preparation for the prelims. The preparation is always a continuous process, a continuous improvement. So do not wait for that kind of perfect preparation. Attempt the test, get a reality check as to where you stand in comparison to your competitors. What is your level of preparation? So that reality shock is very much important, because when you get to know your level of preparation, you will put in far more efforts, because the last 100 days are extremely important, as you know, for the prelims part. So this was the first announcement. The second announcement was with respect to the quiz for the Union Budget 22-23. So as promised in the last class, we have already uploaded the quiz for the Union Budget 22-23 on the eLearn platform. Is my voice audible, all of you? Okay. So we have already uploaded the quiz for the Union Budget 22-23 on the eLearn platform with respect to the first class. And by the end of today's class, we will be uploading the second part of the quiz as well. So please attempt the quiz. So we have approximately around 35 to 40 questions from this year's Union Budget. Attempt the quiz so that you are able to correlate the things which you have understood in the class with the quiz. Similarly, when I take up the discussion of the economic survey, once again, we will have the quiz on the economic survey as well. So by the end of these sessions, that is with respect to budget and economic survey sessions, my idea is that you should not have to look out for any other source except the class and the quiz. That alone should be sufficient. You don't have to look out for any other source, both for prelims as well as for the mains examination. That is my idea. Okay. So let's start with the analysis of the second part of the Union Budget 22-23. So as discussed in the last class, we have discussed two themes, that is infrastructure and banking and finance. In today's class, we shall take up the discussion of the remaining themes. The first and most important theme that we will take up for today's discussion is the theme of agriculture sector. Now, before discussing as to what all initiatives the finance minister has announced with respect to the agriculture sector, let me give you the background and make you understand as to what was the priority of the government with respect to the agriculture sector. See, we all know about the Green Revolution, right? The Green Revolution has led to a substantial increase in the production of food grains. From a net importer, India has become a net exporter of food grains. But the Green Revolution, in a way, has led to a kind of agrarian crisis. What problems the Green Revolution is causing right now? First and foremost, if you see, the farmers, particularly after the Green Revolution, they are using more of inputs, such as, say, water, fertilizers, insecticides, and so on, because of which the Indian agriculture is becoming environmentally unsustainable. That is the first problem. Second problem, because of the Green Revolution, the productivity of the Indian agriculture is coming down, because most of the farmers are practicing monocropping. For example, if you see rice and wheat, these two crops alone account for 38% of the total cropped area in India. So there is less focus on the diversification part. The third problem is the income levels of the farmers have not increased. So Green Revolution has led to environmentally unsustainable practices. It has led to monocropping system, and the farmers are not getting good prices on their agricultural produce. As far as the prices for the agricultural produce is concerned, you must be knowing that earlier the government had introduced the 3 Farm Acts in order to liberalize agriculture marketing regime. But there were a lot of protests against these 3 farm laws, and ultimately the government of India succumbed to the political pressure, and government has repealed the 3 Farm Acts. So this part is left out. So now tell me, if you were the finance minister of India with respect to the agriculture sector, what would have been your 2 main priorities? One priority would be to make agriculture environmentally sustainable, right? To reduce the input cost. That would have been your first priority. The second priority would be to promote crop diversification to enhance productivity, right? So this year's budget has focused upon these 2 aspects. That is to reduce the input cost of agriculture so as to make agriculture environmentally sustainable. And second, to promote crop diversification. As far as marketing reforms is concerned, marketing reforms as of now, it has taken a backstage because of the protest. So let's understand as to what all initiatives the government has taken, particularly with respect to these 2 parts. So to reduce the input cost and to make agriculture environmentally sustainable, this year's budget, the finance minister has announced that we will promote natural farming across India. So that is the most important initiative. And in order to promote crop diversification and to enhance the productivity of the Indian agriculture, the finance minister has announced that we would focus upon the diversification of crops towards millets, which are also referred to as nutri-cereals, diversification towards the oil seeds, and also introduction of drone technology in the Indian agriculture in order to improve the overall status of Indian agriculture. So broadly, these are the major initiatives. Now, why do these things become important? If you have seen this year's mains question paper, you must have come across a question. The question was, how do the emerging technologies help in the crop diversification? I hope you must have seen this question, right? How do the emerging technologies help in the crop diversification? So 2 things are important: crop diversification and the emerging technologies. And this year's budget, you have seen one emerging technology which we are using is drone technology, and the other aspect is we are promoting crop diversification. Can you see the linkages here, right? So that is where you have to interlink the budget thing to your UPSC syllabus. If you just understand that we are going to promote drone technology, it's not going to help you. If you are going to promote crop diversification, if you just know that, it's not going to help you. So let's simplify these things from the perspective of your UPSC prelims and the mains examination. And I'll also tell you in what way questions can be asked from these budget announcements. Are we clear on this? Okay, so let's start our discussion. So as you can see, with respect to agriculture sector, these are the important initiatives and some minor initiatives. We'll not discuss much on the minor initiatives. We'll focus majorly on the major initiatives. Okay, fine. Look at the 2 questions which you can see in the screen. Okay. So, as I said, in this year's budget, the finance minister has announced that we will promote natural farming in India. So in what way this particular topic of natural farming becomes important from the perspective of your UPSC prelims examination? So in what way questions can be asked as far as natural farming is concerned? First and foremost, UPSC could ask you a question with respect to what is the difference between organic farming and natural farming. This is one thing. Second, UPSC could ask you a question with respect to the initiatives which the government has taken for the promotion of natural farming in India. So let's discuss these things. See, as far as organic farming is concerned, to promote organic farming in India, the government is presently implementing a scheme known as Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. Under the organic farming, what we do is, when the agricultural commodities are produced through organic farming, we provide for certification of the organic products. So we need to certify that the products have grown through the organic farming. so that the consumers who are buying the organic products, they need to know that these are genuinely organic products. So with respect to certification of the organic products, we have one program known as National Program for Organic Farming, NPOP. This particular program provides certification for the organic products which we need to export to other countries. So whenever organic products are to be exported to other countries, the certification is given under National Program for Organic Production. This is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And the certification under this particular program is given by an agency known as APIDA, which stands for Agricultural Processed Food and Export Development Authority. So this agency will certify the organic products for the exports, and that program is National Program for Organic Production. Similarly, we have another program called as Participatory Guarantee System, PGS. This particular program is for certification of the organic products which are sold in the domestic market. So whichever organic products are sold in the domestic market, the certification is provided under the Participatory Guarantee Scheme. And this comes under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. So right now, as you can see, the government has undoubtedly taken a lot of initiatives for the promotion of organic farming. Now, government has said that apart from organic farming, will also promote natural farming. Now, for the promotion of the natural farming in case of India, right now we are implementing a scheme which is known as Bharatiya Prakritik Krishi Paddhati Scheme. This is a scheme which the government is implementing for the promotion of natural farming in India. And this scheme is a component of Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, and it is implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. So already we are implementing this particular scheme, but now what the government has announced is we will promote natural farming throughout India with a specific focus on 5-kilometer corridor along the river bank Ganga. So this is an initiative which the finance minister has announced. So one thing which you need to know is this thing about Prakritik Krishi Paddhati, Bharatiya Prakritik Krishi Paddhati Scheme, which is a component of Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. And it promotes natural farming, and it is implemented by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. So this is the first thing. Okay. Second thing which UPSC could probably ask you is with respect to the difference between organic farming and the natural farming. Can you see practice question number 21, which requires you to understand the difference between organic farming and natural farming. So let's understand as to what is the difference between these two types of farming systems. First, understand that there are certain common things between organic farming and natural farming. Both organic farming and natural farming are against the usage of chemical fertilizers and chemical insecticides. Both avoid chemical fertilizers and insecticides. That's the first common thing. Second common thing is, since they don't use chemical fertilizers, they use naturally available materials in order to enhance the productivity of the soil. So both organic farming and natural farming use naturally available material such as the crop residue, cow dung, etc. in order to enhance the fertility of the soil. So these are the two common things between organic farming and natural farming. But at the same time, there are some minute differences between these two things. What are these minute differences? Let's understand that. See, in case of organic farming, as I said, we use naturally available materials, which can include crop residue, cow dung, cow urine, organic manure, and so on. But what happens in case of organic farming is, we collect all the agricultural residue, agricultural waste. This agricultural residue or the agricultural waste is in turn converted into organic manure, not on the soil, not on the agricultural field, not on the soil itself. It is prepared outside. And once the organic manure is prepared, from where it is prepared, it is then applied to the soil. Apart from that, I hope you must have heard about vermicompost, right? What happens in case of vermicompost? Agriculture residue is collected. To that agriculture residue, earthworms are added, some specific kind of earthworms. It is converted into vermicompost, and that vermicompost is collected and then it is applied to the soil. So in case of organic farming, what happens is, no doubt, we are using naturally available resources, but these naturally available resources may be procured from external sources like organic manure, like vermicompost. But in case of natural farming, what happens is, we promote breaking down of the organic matter into the organic manure right on the surface of the soil itself. So right on the surface of soil, we try to break down the organic matter into the organic compost and other organic manure. So what we do is, we try to promote the activity of microbes. We promote the activity of earthworms on the surface of the soil itself, on the agricultural field itself. So natural farming is like more of practicing in alignment with the nature, just like how agriculture was practiced when agriculture was initially started. So that is why we call it as natural farming. So that is one important difference. So both of them use naturally available resources. But in case of organic farming, the naturally available resources may be procured from external sources. Whereas in case of natural farming, we promote breaking down of the organic matter into organic manure right on the surface of the soil itself. Are we clear on this? The next part here is, in case of organic farming, the farmers tend to focus upon preparing the agricultural land for cultivation. For example, in case of organic farming, the farmers as such may undertake flowing of land, tilling of land, taking out weeds, that is, weeds which are grown along with the crops, they take out the weeds. So in case of organic farming, everything is done. But in case of natural farming, since we are practicing agriculture in line with the nature, the farmers do not undertake flowing of land, they do not undertake tilling of land, nor do they undertake the weeding of some certain weeds. So once again, practicing agriculture in line with the agriculture. For example, you must have heard about a method of agriculture known as zero tillage, right? So what is zero tillage? Zero tillage is not tilling the land. So when we go for zero tillage, what happens is, the soil moisture gets conserved, and at the same time, it helps in carbon sequestration. So in case of organic farming, focus is on flowing, tilling, and other things, whereas in natural farming, we don't focus on these things. Third, in case of organic farming, we go for vermicompost. So in case of vermicompost, as I said, agriculture residue is collected. The agriculture residue is converted into vermicompost through use of earthworms, and then vermicompost from external sources, it is then added to the agricultural field. In case of natural farming is not in favor of vermicompost. Natural farming, what it does is, instead it promotes the growth of earthworms on the soil itself, on the agriculture field itself, so that the organic manure is broken down into the organic manure. Last and most important is, in case of organic farming, the farmers would have to procure certain things from outside the field. For example, the farmers may have to procure things such as organic manure, vermicompost, etc. from outside the field. But in case of natural farming, farmers don't have to use any external sources. Everything they're using it from the field itself. That is why we say that the organic farming is little costly in comparison to the natural farming. So these are some important differences between the organic farming and natural farming. So you can have a look at this screen. Please have a look at the screen, all of you. So as you can see, the differences I've highlighted here with respect to philosophy, use of chemical fertilizers and insecticides, use of organic fertilizers. So here we may use it, all of this from external sources, but in case of natural farming, there is no external usage of organic manure. We promote decomposition of organic matter right on the surface of the soil. This is the most important part. Next, if you see, Less efforts are needed in case of natural farming. Approach to vermicompost. Organic farming is in favor of vermicompost, whereas natural farming is against vermicompost. And lastly, organic farming is little expensive in comparison to the natural farming. Please have a look at this question, practice number 21. What do you think is the answer? All of you. The first statement is both organic farming and natural farming promote usage of organic manure from external sources. No. Natural farming does not use external sources. Second, unlike organic farming, natural farming does not focus much upon flowing, tilling, and weeding. Yes. Unlike natural farming, organic farming promotes vermicompost. Yes. So the right answer should be C. That is 2 and 3 only. Practice question number 22. What do you think is the answer? Bharatiya Prakritik Krishi Paddhati scheme. This scheme focuses on the promotion of natural farming in India. Correct. This scheme is a subcomponent of Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. Yes. But it is implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. So right answer should be A. That is 1 only. Are we clear now? Yes. So let's move to the next one. Okay. Coming to the next topic, that is promotion of millets in India. So with respect to promotion of millets, the finance minister has announced that we will try to promote millets by undertaking value addition and through branding of millets in India. So this is an announcement as far as the budget speech is concerned. But how does this topic becomes important from the perspective of your prelims and the mains examination? See, the year 2023 is going to be celebrated as International Year of Millets. The year 2023 is going to be celebrated as International Year of Millets, and that is why this topic of millets or nutri-cereals becomes important both from the perspective of your prelims and the mains examination. As far as prelims examination is concerned, you must have seen that in case of prelims, normally questions are asked with respect to cropping patterns of different agricultural crops. So one can expect a question with respect to cropping pattern of millets or with respect to the initiatives taken for promotion of millets. And as far as the mains examination is concerned, we can get a direct question related to the promotion of millets in India, because the year 2023 is going to be celebrated as International Year of Millets. So here you have 2 questions. One is related to agricultural exports and other question related to millets production in India. And the mains question for practice here is the success of millet revolution would help us address the greatest challenges of 21st century, that is nutritional security, adaptation to climate change, and sustainable use of critical resources such as water and soil. Elaborate. So in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to discuss everything that you need to know as far as millets or the nutri-cereals is concerned, so that you should be in a position to attempt any question either in the prelims or the mains examination. At the end of the discussion of this particular topic, I will also discuss the answer to this mains question for practice. I'll also show you the model answer to this question. Okay. So let's start our discussion with respect to millets in India. So let's first understand as to what do you mean by millets. See, millets, based upon their grain size, they can be divided into 2 types: major millets and minor millets. Major millets are those whose grain size is little higher. The minor millets are the millets with a small grain size. So some of the major millets which are grown in India are jawar, bajra, ragi. These are the major millets. As far as the minor millets are concerned, some of the minor millets include the kudo millet, proso millet, foxtail millet. So in order to avoid your confusion, I have incorporated the Hindi names also. Even I am not aware of some of the Hindi names. So you can just have a look at the Hindi names of some of these millets. Okay. Now, what is the importance of these millets? Why are we focusing so much on millets? It is being said that these millets have a potential to address the 3 greatest challenges of the 21st century. Now, what are these three challenges which can be addressed by the millets? Let's understand that. First and foremost, they have a potential to address the nutritional security in case of India. See, if you look at millets such as jawar, bajra, ragi, etc., they are considered to be more nutritious in comparison to rice and wheat. These millets as such, they are very rich in vitamins, micronutrients, macronutrients, and so on. And that is why it is being said that these millets, they have a potential to address the hidden hunger in case of India and promote nutritional security. See, all the time when we talk about food security in case of India, we keep on talking about access to food, right? But India has made rapid strides as far as access to food is concerned. Now we are trying to promote, people do have access to food, but the problem here is people do not have balanced diet, especially in terms of vitamins, micronutrients, macronutrients, and so on. That is why what we say in case of India is we're not facing hunger. Rather, we are facing hidden hunger because people are not having balanced diet. And that is where these millets come into picture. That is why we call them as nutri-cereals. So they have a potential to address the hidden hunger and malnutrition in case of India and ensure nutritional security. So that's the most important part as far as the millets is concerned. Apart from that, the Food and Agriculture Organization has highlighted that the millets have a potential to meet Sustainable Development Goal 2, SDG 2. That is, they have a potential to end hunger and malnutrition across the globe. Further, these millets, they are considered to have low glycemic index. Now, what do you mean by glycemic index? See, normally when you consume certain food, the blood sugar level in the body increases, right? So glycemic index measures to what extent the blood sugar level in the human body increases. If the glycemic index is lower, it means that the blood sugar level does not increase much. If the glycemic index is higher, the blood sugar level will increase by a much higher margin. As far as millets is concerned, millets have low glycemic index, which means even if you consume jawar, bajra, ragi, the blood sugar level in the body does not increases by much. Hence, millets are considered to be extremely good for the people who are suffering from diabetes. So they have health benefits also. The next thing is millets have a potential to promote environmentally sustainable practices. How? The millets as such, they consume almost 2.5 to 3 times less water in comparison to, say, rice and wheat. So they are less water intensive. So if you look at the agriculture sector is using almost 85% of overall water in India. So by promoting millets, we can enhance the water use efficiency and address the present water crisis. Apart from that, the millets are also considered to be climate resilient, which means that they have an ability to withstand the impact of droughts. So because of the growing climate change, they can withstand the impact of climate change. And third one is they have a potential to increase the income levels of the farmers. For example, if you look at the millets in India, jawar, bajra, ragi, all of these millets are predominantly grown in rain-fed areas. And even today, the rain-fed farming accounts for 53% of the total agricultural land in India. So by promoting millets, we have a potential to increase the income levels of the farmers, particularly in the rain-fed areas. Apart from that, other important benefit here is with respect to income levels that they can be used both as food as well as fodder. So they can be used both as food and fodder, which means that by growing millets, farmers as such can practice integrated farming. That is, they can integrate livestock rearing along with the growing of crops. So this is the benefits as far as growing of millets is concerned. That is why the government is focusing so much on growing of millets. Are we getting this point? Yes. So as I said, we can get a direct question as to what is the significance of millets, how millets can address the 3 greatest challenges of 21st century. So you should have at least 5 to 6 points to write an answer to that. And these are the points. Now let's understand the cropping pattern as far as millets is concerned. What is the cropping pattern of millets? See, in the UPSC mains examination, if you come across the cropping pattern, what all points should you incorporate? When you're writing about the cropping pattern, you should write about the overall area of a particular crop under area of agriculture land under a particular crop. What percentage of area does it occupy? What is the overall production of a particular crop? What is India's ranking with respect to production of a particular crop? What is the ranking of different states in India with respect to production of crop? So these things you'd have to incorporate. Plus, you could also incorporate a map of India to highlight that these are the regions where a particular crop is grown, right? So keeping in mind this requirement of the examination, let's understand the cropping pattern of millets. If you look at the global level, at a global level, India is considered to be the largest producer of millets. After India, the 2 other producers are Niger and China. So India, Niger and China, these 3 countries account for more than 50% of production of millets at the global level. As far as the domestic level is concerned, that is at the level of India, unfortunately, there has been decrease in the area under millets. So in the last decade, the area under millets has got reduced from 28 million hectares to 25 million hectares from the year 2007-8 to 2017-18. So there has been decrease in the area under millets. But the most important part here is, in spite of decrease in the area under millets, the production of millets has increased. That's a good thing. The production of millets has increased because of increase in per hectare yield. So if you look at the production as such, the production has increased from 40 million tons to 45 million tons in the last 10 years. As far as your prelims examination is concerned, there is no need to mug up these facts and figures. But you should understand the general trend. General trend is that area under nutritionals has reduced, but the production has increased. This is the most important part as far as millets is concerned. And some of the states which are considered to be the largest producers of millets are Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and Karnataka. So these are the top 3 states as far as production of millets is concerned. So you can see this particular mind map. I hope you can see this mind map, all of you. Yes. So I have explained the significance of millets in India, health benefits, environmental benefits, and the economic benefits. Then I have also discussed about the cropping pattern. I've also discussed about the cropping pattern. So you can see global level, India is the largest producer, then domestic level cropping pattern. Now we are going to discuss as to what are the problems as far as the millets production is concerned. First thing, as you can see, there has been decline in the area under millets as highlighted before. Second, even the consumption of millets in case of India, even the consumption of millets has also got reduced. Yes, all of these notes will be provided to you. Don't worry. This entire mind map, everything will be provided to you at the end of the class. Second point is there has been decline in the consumption of millets. Now let me ask you a question. I hope all of you have had your breakfast before coming to the class, right? All of you had your breakfast. Okay. Now, depending upon which part of India you are coming from, I'm pretty sure that more than 95% of you would have had breakfast, which is basically prepared from either rice or wheat, right? For example, if you're coming from southern part of India, probably you could have had probably idli or dosa. If you're coming from western part of India, probably poha. If you're coming from northern part of India, probably you would have had parotas, right? I know this is a little difficult for people who have not had your breakfast because I'm talking about food now. Anyways, so depending upon which part of India you're coming from, you could have had rice or wheat as your food prepared from rice and wheat. Idli and dosa batter prepared from rice, poha prepared from rice flakes, parota prepared from wheat once again. So almost more than 95% of people's diet is dominated by rice and wheat. Whereas if you see millets, as I said, millets are more nutritious. Millets have vitamins, they have macronutrients, micronutrients. But why do you think people don't consume millets? What do you think could be the reason? See, first and foremost, people have a flawed perception about millets. You know, millets, they are always called as poor man's grains. I hope you must have heard of this. Millets are called as poor man's grains. So most of people have this perception that these are poor man's grains and only poor people will eat it. Wherein in reality, the millets are more nutritious. They should be consumed by all. So there's a flawed perception. That's the first thing. The second problem is people do not have awareness as far as the nutrition of millets is concerned. And third and most important part is difficulty in preparing the millet-based foods. Now, for example, if you want to prepare a roti from wheat, tawa roti, it's very easy. But just imagine preparing a roti from jawar or preparing a roti of bajra ki roti or jawar ki roti. Don't you think it's very difficult? That is why most of people don't even cook these millet-based foods. Wherein in reality, we must promote consumption of millets. Why should we promote consumption of millets? First and foremost, can I say it is good for yourself? It's good for you because your health will improve. You'll have a balanced diet. And can I say it is good for the farmers also? Because farmers will earn more income, right? And can I say it is good for the Indian economy also? Because we'll be able to promote crop diversification. So you must consume millets not just for yourself, but for the benefit of farmers and for the benefit of Indian economy. Are we clear on this? Okay. I'm not watching for millets, but I'm just explaining the important benefits of millets as to why you should consume millets. Anyways, next, if you see, India has a huge potential as far as exports of millets is concerned, but we are not being able to realize this particular potential. So these are some problems. Already, in order to promote millets, we have launched a number of initiatives. For example, we have launched National Food Security Mission Course Cereals, NFSM. Under National Food Security Mission, we are trying to increase the production of food grains by 13 million tons, overall production of food grains, under which production of rice has to increase by 5 million tons, production of wheat has to increase by 3 million tons, pulses by 3 million tons, and coarse cereals by 2 million tons. So these are the targets. This was asked in one of the previous year prelims paper. So please remember this. National Food Security Mission seeks to increase the production of food grains by 13 million tons, out of which rice is 5, wheat is 3, pulses is 3, and coarse cereals or millets is 2 million tons. Apart from that, we are also declaring MSP for some of the millets. So please understand, we are declaring MSP for 22 agricultural commodities. Out of this, we are declaring MSP for some of the millets. So some of the millets which are covered under the MSP regime include jawar, bajra, ragi. But for the minor millets such as foxtail millet, kodo millet, proso millet, MSP is not declared. So please understand this. Third, we have included millets in the public distribution system. And as discussed, we are declaring the year 2023 as International Year of Millets. Now, what should be done in order to promote production of millets in India? So let's understand the recommendations of the Dalwai panel, that is Committee on Doubling Farmers' Income. Under this, the first and most important initiative is with respect to development of special agribusiness zones. So what do you mean by special agribusiness zones? Let's understand that. See, if you look at the millets which are grown in India, the millets are grown in certain specific parts of India. Jawar, it is grown in northern part of Karnataka. Ragi is grown in southern part of Karnataka and parts of Tamil Nadu. Bajra, it is grown in states such as UP, Rajasthan, and so on. So Dalwai panel has suggested that we need to identify these pockets of India where millets are grown. And these regions should be declared as special agribusiness zones. And what should we do in these zones? In these zones, the small and marginal farmers who are growing millets, these small and marginal farmers should be organized into farmer producer organizations, FPOs. So by organizing the small and marginal farmers into FPOs, we would be able to enhance the overall production of the millets in India. Apart from that, we must also undertake value addition and labeling of millet-based products. Value addition and labeling of millets. Now, for example, I hope some of you must have come across ragi dosa. Have you heard of this? Ragi dosa. Ragi dosa is an alternative to rice-based dosa. Similarly, you have jawar ka rice which is prepared from jawar. So jawar rice. So we need to promote alternatives to rice and wheat-based crops such as ragi dosa, jawar rice, and so on. Labeling has to be done so that people are consuming more of these millets. Next, we must expand the coverage of small millets under MSP. So as I said, MSP right now is covering only the major millets. Minor millets such as foxtail millet, proso millet, kodo millet, they are not covered. So we must include the small millets also under the MSP. We must focus on boosting exports of millets to other countries. And if you're writing an answer in the UPSC mains examination, please don't forget to include this particular case study. Recently, it was reported in the Business Line newspaper that Andhra Pradesh as well as Telangana, they have recently set up the Millets Board in their states. What these two states are doing is, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, they are encouraging the farmers to give up the cultivation of rice and instead shift to the cultivation of nutritious cereals. Not just that, these millets boards are also promoting value addition and labeling of millet-based products. So these are the two things which the millet boards are actually doing. Now, don't you think there's a need to set up a same board at a national level, right? Similarly, we can have a national level millets board. So probably while writing an answer in the UPSC mains examination, you could incorporate this particular point that similar to the Andhra Pradesh and Telangana model, we need to have a national level millets board. Are we clear on this? Yes. So let's look at the mains answer. So look at the question here. Okay, as far as your doubts are concerned, please hold on to your doubts. I will come to each of your doubts at the end of the class. Okay. So look at the question. The success of millet revolution would help us address the three greatest challenges of 21st century. So the question itself is saying that how millets can address the three greatest challenges of 21st century. So accordingly, in the body of your answer, you have to highlight these 3 points. And when you're writing the answer, you should have 3 distinct dimensions as to how they will promote nutrition security, first dimension, second, climate change, and third, sustainable production. Under each of these broad dimensions, you can write 2 to 3 bullet points. As far as introduction is concerned, in the introduction, write about the importance of millets. And as far as conclusion is concerned, you could write some of the recommendations given by the Dalwai panel in order to ensure the success of millet revolution. As far as value addition is concerned, as to how to enrich the answer, you could incorporate this particular diagram. So as you can see here, I have highlighted 4 reasons as to why people are consuming less millets and what implications it is having. Are you getting this? Why people are consuming less amount of millets and what implications it is having. For example, it is leading to nutritional insecurity, unsustainable practices, and poor income levels in the rain-fed areas. So this is how you could have enriched your answer. Now let's look at the suggested answer. Please have a look at the answer. So as I said, this particular PPT will be shared with you at the end of the class. So you can have a look at this particular PPT once the class is done. So you can have a look at the answer. Apart from that, I would also suggest each one of you to write these answers on your own. So please develop a habit of writing answers. So whatever questions which I'm giving in the budget session with respect to mains, try to write an answers to such questions. That is how you develop your writing skills. Now coming to the oil seeds. So as I said, Finance Minister has sought to focus upon the diversification. One diversification is towards the millets or the nutricereals. Second one is with respect to oil seeds. So here the Finance Minister has announced that soon the government will come up with a comprehensive scheme for the promotion of oil seeds. Now, why does this topic becomes important? First and foremost, in case of India, we are facing demand-supply mismatch of edible oils. That's the first thing. That is why this becomes important. Second one is, if you have been following current affairs, you must be knowing that recently Government of India has launched a new scheme known as National Edible Oil Mission Oil Palm, right? In order to promote cultivation of oil palm. That is where this topic becomes extremely important. So you can look at the mains question for practice. Highlight various initiatives taken by the government to boost the production of oil seeds. Also suggest some measures to address the growing demand-supply mismatch. Okay. So just like how we had covered millets, we will cover oil seeds in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So what do you mean by oil seeds? So in case of India, we have almost around 9 major oil seeds. These oil seeds include groundnut, safflower, sunflower, sesame, mustard, Niger, and so on. So we have around 9 major oil seeds. The importance of these oil seeds is that these oil seeds, as you know, they're converted into edible oils, which in turn is used for the purpose of cooking. But the problem in case of India is we have a huge demand supply mismatch as far as edible oils is concerned. Almost 60% of edible oils that we use in India, it is basically imported from other countries. 60%. Out of this edible oil that we are importing, 60% is basically palm oil. And it is also being said that 99% of palm oil that we use in India, it is imported. So 99% of palm oil that we use, it is imported from other countries. And the palm oil accounts for 60% of our edible oil imports. What does this mean? India is not only importing crude oil, but India is also importing edible oil. Crude oil, we don't have much options, right? But we have an option to reduce the import of edible oils. That is where the significance of edible oils come into picture. Slowly, the import bill on the edible oil is increasing. For example, in the year 2019-20, we had imported edible oils worth 75,000 crores. So slowly, the import bill on the edible oils is increasing. So this is going against Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-sufficient India. That is why the government is trying to boost the production of oil seeds so that these oil seeds can be converted into edible oils. So this is the most important part. So let's understand various aspects about the oil seeds in India now. So these points I've already discussed, present status. Other points I hope you can read and understand on your own. So let's come to the initiatives part. What all initiatives have we taken to promote oil seeds? First, we have launched National Food Security Mission, oil seeds and oil palm. Second is with respect to PM Asha, Pradhan Mantri Annadata Sanrakshan Abhiyan. I hope you know about this. Next is we have been declaring higher MSP on the oil seeds such as groundnut, rapeseed, mustard, Niger, sunflower, etc. And this is the most important part, that we are targeting rice fallow areas. Now, what do you mean by rice fallow areas? Now, there are certain regions in India where only rice is grown. What the farmers do is, farmers grow only rice, that is monocropping. So once the rice is harvested, the land as such is kept fallow until the next cropping season for rice. Fallow means the land is left uncultivated. So there is this brief span of time where no crops are cultivated on the agricultural land in those areas which are practicing monocropping. So what we are trying to do here is, in the brief span of time, that is when the rice is harvested to the time when the rice is grown in the next cropping season, in this gap, we are encouraging the farmers to cultivate the oil seeds. That we call it as targeting rice fallow area. So please remember about this. Next, we have launched National Edible Oil Mission Oil Palm. I hope the details are there. I don't want to explain the things here because it's quite easier for you to understand. Now, what should be done in order to increase the production of oil seeds? What all things should be done? First and foremost, if you see, the production of rice and wheat in case of India has increased predominantly because of the fact that we have come up with the high yielding varieties of rice and wheat. So accordingly, we need to promote high yielding variety of seeds, even for the oil seeds as well. So we need to increase the productivity. Second, we need to promote intercropping, that is cultivating oil seeds with other crops such as rice and wheat. Organize farmers into farmer producer organizations, FPOs. And this is most important part. This is a recommendation given by the Dalwai panel. See, when you look at edible oils can be extracted from primary sources as well as secondary sources. Primary sources means directly from the oil seeds, such as groundnut, sunflower, safflower, etc. Secondary sources means other than the oil seeds. For example, you must be knowing that edible oil can also be used from coconut. Coconut oil can also be used for the purpose of cooking. So it's one of the secondary source. Apart from that, you must have also heard about rice bran oil, right? Rice bran oil is, prepared from the yellow outer covering of rice, that is the husk. So we need to promote more of production of edible oils from the secondary sources. So that's the most important part as recommended by Dalwai panel. And the last and most important here is, see, we Indians, we consume more of oily foods. We consume more of oily foods. We use more oil while cooking the food. This is not only affecting our health, but it is also affecting the Indian economy because we are importing more of edible oils. So both for your own health benefit as well as for the benefit of Indian economy, we need to consume less amount of edible oils. So this is the last recommendation. Once again, a recommendation given by Dalwai panel. I hope we are clear now, right? So these are the oilseed things. Please look at these points. National Edible Oil Mission Oil Palm. It's very factual in nature. That is why I'm not explained, but I have complete belief in you that you can read and understand on your own. So in case if at all you get a question with respect to the benefits of National Edible Oil Mission Palm, you can write these 4 to 5 points. Clear? Let's move on to the next part. Okay. Promotion of Kisan drones. Now this is quite interesting. In this year's budget, the finance minister has announced that we will promote drone technology in the Indian agriculture. This was an announcement which the finance minister has made. But let me tell you, even before the announcement in the budget, the government had already made certain changes in a policy or a scheme known as Submission on Agricultural Mechanization to promote drone technology. In fact, this news had appeared in PIB, Press Information Bureau, before the budget itself. So right now, we are implementing a scheme known as Submission on Agricultural Mechanization in order to promote agricultural mechanization in India. As part of submission on agricultural mechanization, we are setting up custom hiring centers at a village level. So these custom hiring centers in turn rent out agricultural machineries to the farmers, custom hiring centers. So what the government had done even before the budget is, government had changed the guidelines of the submission on agricultural mechanization, under which the government is promoting drone technology under this particular scheme. So under this particular scheme, the government is giving grants to certain entities for buying of drones. Which are these entities? These entities could be Krishi Vigyan Kendras, agricultural universities, farmer producer organizations. So to some of these entities, the government is giving a grant. So as far as your prelims examination is concerned, don't worry about how much grant is given, but just understand to whom all the grants is given, and also understand that promotion of drone technology is done under the promotion of the scheme of submission on agricultural mechanization. So if you remember these things, that alone is more than sufficient as far as prelims examination is concerned. Clear? Now coming to the benefits. Now this is important as far as the mains examination is concerned. So in this year's mains, we had this question as to how do emerging technologies help in the crop diversification. In order to write an answer to that particular question, you could have included points such as ICT, big data, artificial intelligence, robotics, and so on. Among all of these emerging technologies, you could have also incorporated drone technology. How drone technology is going to benefit the Indian agriculture? First and foremost, by using drones, we can undertake an assessment of the field and the soil. So drones, they can collect the data from the soil with respect to status of the soil. And once this particular data is analyzed, the farmers can then take a decision as to which crops can be grown, when the crops should have to be sown, when the crops would have to be harvested. So timing with respect to sowing, timing with respect to harvesting, and which crops can be grown, all of these decisions can be taken by the farmer based upon the drone technology. So that's the first benefit. Second benefit is the drones as such, they can be used for massive scale surveillance of the entire field. So they can keep on monitoring the health of the crops throughout the field. And the drones are able to detect the crops are developing diseases, especially in the initial stages itself. Immediately, drones can be used for spraying fertilizers as well as insecticides. So can I say that drones will help us in promoting precision farming, right? Because it will spray insecticides and pesticides only on those parts of the field which are developing diseases, more importantly, in the initial stages itself. So this will in turn enable us to reduce the losses which the farmers can otherwise incur. So that's the importance of drone technology. Next, drones can also be used for the irrigation management. So you must be knowing that most of the farmers in case of India, they promote the use flood irrigation method, like entire agricultural land is inundated with water. Now, drones can be used to enhance the water use efficiency. How? Now, for example, drones can keep on scanning the agricultural land. They can keep on monitoring the extent of moisture in the soil. So if the drones send a message to the farmers that the soil moisture is getting reduced, immediately the farmers can then go for irrigation. So timing of the irrigation and how much water has to be used, that information we can get it through the drone technology. So drone technology also has a potential to reduce the input cost and enhance the input use efficiency. And lastly, drones can also be used for digitization of land records. So we keep on saying, right, that if you have to double farmers' income, two things are most important. One, we have to reduce input cost. And two, we have to enhance the productivity. So drones can reduce the input cost by promoting precision farming, by using right amount of inputs at the right time. And at the same time, drones can enhance the productivity. So that's the benefits as far as drones is concerned. Are we clear now? Yes. Okay, next is river linking project. So no major announcement as far as river linking project is concerned, but the finance minister has announced that soon the Ken-Betwa river linking project would be completed. I hope most of you are already studied as to what are the benefits and challenges with respect to the interlinking of rivers. So I'm not going into much detail, but broadly you must understand that we are going to execute the Ken-Betwa river linking project. Apart from that, the finance minister has also announced that project reports, detailed project reports will also be prepared for other river linking projects, some of which include Damanganga, Pinjal, Par-Tapi, Narmada, Godavari, Krishna, Krishna, Pennar, Pennar, Kaveri. Now, as far as your prelims examination is concerned, what you should understand from this, please try to find out the source of these rivers, where these rivers flow into. Also try to identify the important tributaries of these rivers. For example, if you're looking at Krishna River in the map, try to identify which all tributaries are of Krishna River. Okay. Same with respect to tributaries of the Godavari River. Also try to identify details about the Pennar River. So I leave out these things to you so that you can read these things on your own. So integrate this particular information with your information of Indian geography. So that is more important. Okay. Okay. So finally, we are done with the theme of Indian agriculture. Now we are going to move to the next theme, that is the external sector. See, as far as these two things are concerned, blended capital, I think most of you know, I've already discussed the concept of blended capital in the last class itself. So the finance minister has announced that we'll come up with a blended capital for the agri-tech startups. I've already discussed the concept of blended capital. So we'll move to the external sector. In case of external sector, there are two main initiatives. One is revamping of SEZs, and second one is with respect to phasing out concessional duties on the capital goods. So these are the two most important initiatives in the external sector. So we'll start off our discussion with respect to revamping the special economic zones. Okay. In this year's budget, the finance minister has announced that the SEZ legislation, that is SEZ Act 2005, will be revamped. And it is expected that the government will soon come up with a new SEZ Act altogether. So this is the announcement. But at the same time, the finance minister has not announced or not highlighted as to what all changes will be incorporated in the SEZ Act. She has just highlighted that SEZ policy would be amended. Now, why this topic becomes important? From the perspective of prelims examination, you could get questions directly related to the SEZ policy. That's the first thing. As far as the mains examination is concerned, see, India is trying to pursue an export-led model. And one of the most important part of export-led model is promotion of special economic zones. So from the perspective of your mains examination, you must understand as to what are the current problems in the SEZs and how these problems would have to be addressed. So right now we don't know as to what kind of changes the government is going to introduce. But what we know is what are the problems and what are the solutions to the problems. So we'll try to identify what are the problems and how these problems could be addressed, specifically based upon the recommendations of the Baba Kalyani Committee. So in the next 20 minutes, we are going to discuss everything what you need to know as far as special economic zones is concerned, SEZs, both from the perspective of prelims as well as the mains examination. So let's understand about the SEZs. So what exactly the SEZs are? Now let's say this is India, the entire territory of India. This entire territory of India can be in turn delineated into two parts. One, domestic tariff area, DTA, and second one is SEZ, special economic zones. So SEZs, they are considered to be a geographically contiguous area which is deemed as a foreign territory. It is considered as a foreign territory for all the purposes related to taxation. It's a geographically contiguous area. Why are we setting up SEZs? SEZs are basically set up in order to boost exports, in order to attract foreign investment, in order to create jobs, in order to promote economic growth and development, and so on. So to set up SEZs in India, right now, we have the SEZ Act 2005. So this is the main legislation under which SEZs are set up. These SEZs, they can be set up by the center, state, or by the private entity. The nodal ministry for SEZs in case of India is not the finance ministry. Please remember this. The nodal ministry is the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Now, question is, what benefits do the industries get in the SEZs? What are the benefits? See, first and foremost, they get tax benefits for almost 15 years. So the units which are located in the special economic zones, they get tax exemption for almost 15 years. So the amount of tax exemption may change. For example, for first 5 years, they get 100% tax exemption. For the next 5 years, they may get 50% tax exemption. But broadly, you must understand that SEZs get tax benefit for almost 15 years. So this is the most important thing. Second thing here is these units which are based in SEZs, they can import goods from other countries at almost 0% customs duty. So the units, if they're importing goods from other parts of the country, they do not pay any customs duty at all. So this is another benefit of the units in SEZ. Third thing here is they get single window approval for both setting up of their units in SEZ or for the closure of industries. The labor laws in case of SEZs are quite flexible. So these are some of the benefits which the units which are located in the SEZs get. Okay. So if you look at our policy of SEZ as to how it has evolved, Asia's first export processing zone was set up in Kandla way back in 1967. So first export processing zone of Asia was set up in India at Kandla in 1967. Later, what happened? We came up with the EXIM policy 2000. Under the EXIM policy 2000, we converted the existing export processing zones into SEZs. So initially, SEZs did not enjoy the legislative status. They were not set up under their act. But we came up with the act when? In the year 2005. So right now, whichever SEZs are set up in India, they are set up under the SEZ Act. And this act, this SEZ Act, we are now going to reform it. We are going to change it. So please remember the chronology. Started with export processing zones in 1967, came out with EXIM policy 2000. All the EPZs were converted into SEZs. 2005, we came up with a separate legislation. Now we are going to talk about 2022 as to what is going to happen. Remember the chronology. Okay. Now, let's understand the export, the performance analysis, to what extent the SEZs have been successful in India. So right now, we have notified almost around 377 SEZs in India. We have 377 SEZs. These SEZs have so far created 2.5 million jobs. And presently, they account for 26% of exports from India. So almost 1/4 of exports from India are from the SEZs. But in spite of these achievements, it is being said that the SEZs in case of India, they are not as successful as the SEZs in China. In case of China, China's first SEZ was Shenzhen. Shenzhen, when it was initially set up, it was a small fishing village way back in 1990s. From a small fishing village, Shenzhen has become one of the largest SEZ in the world. Think of any company, think of any manufacturing company. That manufacturing company would have a base in Shenzhen. So SEZs in China have been successful, but India, the SEZs in India is still catching up. They're not grown much, which clearly shows that SEZs are facing certain challenges, certain problems. Are you understanding this? So let's understand what problems are we facing as far as SEZs is concerned. The first problem is with respect to tax. So this is the first problem. So what is the problem? Let's understand that. The first problem is with respect to sunset clause, which we introduced in the year 2017. So please focus here. This is the most important part. This is very interesting also, important also. What do you mean by sunset clause? Please have a look at this part. What benefits does a unit in SEZ get? A unit in the SEZ gets tax benefit for 15 years, right? For 15 years, it will be able to claim tax exemption. That's a benefit. What happened is in the year 2017, the government came up with a sunset clause. What is this sunset clause? Under this sunset clause, the government declared that any unit which is set up in the SEZ before the cutoff date of June 30, 2022, only those units will get tax benefit for next 15 years. I'm repeating, only those units which are being set up in the SEZs before June 30, 2022, only those units will get tax benefit for the next 15 years. If you are setting up your unit in the SEZ after June 30, 2021, you will not get the tax benefits. Let me give you an example. I want to set up an SEZ. I'm setting up my SEZ on say June 29, 2021. It means I will be able to get tax exemption for next 15 years. That is from 2021 to how much? 2036. But if you are setting up a unit in SEZ on say July 1st, 2021, you will not get any kind of tax benefit. Are you getting this point? So this is what? This is sunset clause. So we have limited that only those units which will be set up before June 30, 2021, only they will get the tax benefits. Earlier, this limit was April 1st, 2021. Then we changed it to June 30, 2021. Please remember this. So this is the first thing with respect to sunset clause. Second one is with respect to MAT, minimum alternate tax, which was introduced in the year 2011. Once again, little technical, but let me simplify this as much as possible. Let's first understand what is MAT or minimum alternate tax. Now let's say in case of India, we have certain companies which are called as zero tax companies. What these zero tax company do is every year they have huge amount of profits. Every year they have profits. But the same companies, what they do is they take advantage of tax exemptions. They take advantage of tax benefits. But taking advantage of tax benefits and tax exemptions, they do not pay any tax to the government. So don't you think there's an anomaly here? You have a company, the company is making profits, but this company is not paying tax to the government because it is taking advantage of tax benefits or a tax exemption. Don't you think it will lead to loss to the government, right? So to bring such companies under the tax bracket, we introduced minimum alternate tax in 1990s. In 1990s, we introduced this MAT. Now you must be wondering as to how company which is declaring profit is not paying any tax to the government. Are you preparing for chartered accountants exams? No, right? You're not preparing for CA exam, right? You're preparing for UPSC prelims examination. So don't get into that PhD mode and try to identify ki company kaise tax bacha raha hai. Don't worry about it. Understand from the perspective of the prelims examination that minimum alternate tax is a tax which the government has brought in to bring zero tax companies under the tax bracket. Are we clear on this? Now, this tax, as I said, it was initially introduced when? 1990s. And this tax was applicable only to the companies here in the domestic tariff area. It was not applicable to the companies in the SEZ. Now, can I say, if a company is located in SEZ, the company is availing tax exemption, tax benefit, such a company is not paying tax, right? So, should MAT be available to such companies? Should be applicable to such companies, ideally? But initially, when we came up with the SEZ Act 2005, we said that MAT will be applicable only to the companies in the domestic tariff area and it will not be applicable to companies in the SEZ initially. But later, the government changed its stance. In the year 2001, we extended the MAT even to the SEZs. Are we clear on this? Third problem is sale by SEZ units in DTA attract customs duty. So please understand here, if a unit which is based in SEZ, if it is selling its goods in the domestic tariff area, rest of India, it will have to pay customs duty. That's a provision under the SEZ Act. Now let's look at the first 2 points. Concentrate here, benefits part. When I started my discussion, I said there are 2 benefits available to the units in SEZ. One, they have tax benefit for next 15 years, right? Now look at this part. Have we done away with the tax benefits completely now? Yes, we are done away with the tax benefits. Secondly, we are introducing minimum alternate tax on the units based in SEZ. Now tell me, is there any advantage right now if you want to set up your unit in SEZ? Irrespective whether you set up your unit in SEZ or in the domestic tariff area, the tax liability is going to be same, right? Tax liability is going to be same. So even the unit in domestic tariff area will pay corporate tax. Even you would have to pay corporate tax if your unit is based in SEZ. A unit which is based in domestic tariff area will pay MAT. Even you would have to pay a MAT. So tax advantage is gone. Are you getting this? Tax exemption is gone. So it really means it doesn't matter whether you set up your unit in SEZ or in the domestic tariff area. So slowly the SEZ units are losing that kind of advantage which they used to enjoy over the units in the domestic tariff area. And look at this part also. Can I say a unit, let's say there's a mobile manufacturing unit in the domestic tariff area. This mobile manufacturing unit in the domestic tariff area, when it is manufacturing mobiles, it can sell the mobiles anywhere throughout the territory of India without paying customs duty, right? Without paying customs duty, this mobile manufacturing unit can sell its goods anywhere here. But let's say there is a mobile manufacturing unit in the SEZ, and if this mobile manufacturing unit wants to sell its goods in the domestic tariff area, this SEZ unit will have to pay customs duty. Unfair advantage, unfair to the SEZ units, yes. So it was reported in the media after the finance minister's budget that SEZ units may be allowed to sell their goods in the domestic tariff area without attracting customs duty. Once again, speculation, no concrete statement from the government. But this is a proposal which I am very sure the government will surely look into. Are we clear now? So this is the tax related problems. Now let's look at the second set of problems. The second problem is with respect to our approach towards the SEZs. Our approach towards SEZ. What is the problem with the approach? Now remember I told you the SEZs in case of China, they have been very successful in comparison to SEZs in India. Question is, why Chinese SEZs have been successful? Let's understand that. If you look at China's SEZ, what China has done, it has focused upon coastal based SEZs, coast based SEZs. Now this is quite logical. Logical because you are setting up SEZs for exporting. And if you want to export goods, where should SEZ be located? In the coastal areas. So this is the first thing. China has focused more upon manufacturing based SEZs. And more importantly, what China has done very cleverly is it has focused on very few but large sized SEZs. Very few but large sized SEZs. Why? Because if China had set up large number of SEZs, then government's focus would have got scattered across multiple SEZs. By setting up few SEZs, China has concentrated on development of some SEZs and ensure that these SEZs become the world's largest SEZs. Now, whatever China has done, India has done exactly the opposite. जो कुछ भी चाइना ने किया है, हमने बिल्कुल अलग किया है. How? Look at India. Rather than locating the SEZs along the coast, most of our SEZs are located in the hinterland. Our SEZs are basically dominated by IT and IT-enabled services. So almost 65% of our SEZs are based on services rather than manufacturing. So that is why the manufacturing sector has not developed. And third is, what India has done is, we have created large number of SEZs which are smaller in size. See, when SEZs are smaller in size, will not be able to reap the benefits of economies of scale. SEZs in India are very small. And when they are small, economies of scale will not come into picture. And when we are set up large number of SEZs, government's focus will be scattered across multiple SEZs. So whatever China has done, India has done exactly the opposite. So this is the second problem. The third problem is with respect to regulation, regulatory approvals. And here the problem is with respect to single window approval. See, as I said, one of the basic feature of SEZ is to set up a single window approval mechanism, right? But the problem is, in most of the states, that single window approval has not been set up. Even if it is set up, the process of entry, that is setting up of SEZ, is easier. But closure of SEZ unit or closing down of SEZ unit, it is quite difficult. Which once again points out to the Chakravyuh challenge of Indian economy. You must have heard about Chakravyuh from Mahabharata, right? So Abhimanyu, he knew how to enter into Chakravyuh, but he did not have the knowledge of exiting. The same problem is there in the Indian economy, especially from the SEZ units. If you want to set up a unit in SEZ, government will lay down a red carpet for you. Government will make it very easy for you to come and set up your unit in SEZ. But if government gets to know that you are closing down your industry, government will make hell out of your life. The government will make it very difficult for you to exit from the SEZ. So once again, the kind of Chakravyuh challenge for the SEZs. So that's the second problem, first problem. The second is, we wanted to set up separate courts for adjudication of disputes in the SEZ. In fact, the SEZ units, SEZ Act provides that we need to set up separate courts to handle the disputes, but we are not set up separate courts. So once again, all the disputes go before the ordinary courts. And as you know, the judiciary is already overburdened in case of India, and it leads to increase in the pendency. So this is the third challenge. And the fourth and last challenge is with respect to external sector challenge. Now, this is the most important part, which I would want each one of you to focus here. China, which is considered to be the global manufacturing hub, China is slowly losing its manufacturing competitiveness, predominantly because of increase in labor cost and because of US-China trade war. Because of which some of the manufacturing companies based in China, they are planning to exit from China. So don't you think we have a golden opportunity to attract such companies to India, right? Because just like China, we have the low labor cost. But unfortunately, these companies who are exiting from China, they're not coming into India. Rather, they're going to the smaller economies like Vietnam, Bangladesh. Question is why? The answer is these countries, Bangladesh, Vietnam, they are giving far more incentives to the foreign companies than what we are giving in our SEZ units. See, this is a time where India has to capitalize on this opportunity when companies are planning to exit from China, right? But what are we doing? We are giving up our incentives on the SEZ units, right? We have said we'll have a sunset clause, we'll have MAT. So why will units come and set up their units? Why will foreign companies come and set up their units in SEZs? Are you getting this point? So when countries such as Bangladesh and Vietnam are giving so many incentives, this is a time when India should have to start thinking about it. Are you getting this point? So this is the first thing. Second thing is, look at this thing. See, one thing, benefit which I said is SEZ units, they can import goods from other country at 0% custom duty, right? This is a benefit which SEZ units enjoy over the units in the domestic tariff area. This is what we understood, right? Now, what has happened is India has signed large number of FTAs, free trade agreements, with countries such as, say, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, and so on. So because of these FTAs, even the units which are located in the domestic tariff area, they can import goods at 0% custom duty. Are you getting this point? So I told you two benefits. One, they're getting tax benefit. Now these two tax benefits are gone now for the SEZ units, right? Third benefit, I said that they can import goods from other countries at 0% custom duty. But even the units in the domestic tariff area can also import goods from other countries at 0% custom duty. This is the third problem. So that is why we say that these are the multiple challenges which the SEZ units are actually facing. So it is being said that the government would soon address these challenges based upon the recommendations of a committee under the leadership of Baba Kalyani Committee. So here I have incorporated the recommendations of Baba Kalyani Committee as to how to revitalize the special economic zones. So Baba Kalyani Committee had highlighted that SEZs, which are right now islands of exports, from islands of exports, they should become engines of growth and development. How? The first recommendation of the Baba Kalyani Committee is to shift from exports to employment and economic growth. Let's understand this thing. First thing here is Baba Kalyani Committee suggested that SEZs should be renamed as 3 E's: economic and employment enclaves. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, apart from renaming the SEZs as economic and employment enclaves, we must give incentives to the SEZ units based upon not just the exports, but incentives should also be given based upon how much jobs they are creating, how much of value addition they are doing, how much of what kind of technology which they are adopting. So right now, units in SEZ, they are getting benefits based upon how much exports they're doing. Higher the exports, higher the benefits. Now what we must do, we must give incentives to SEZs not just based on exports, but how much jobs they are creating, what kind of technology they are adopting, and how much of value addition they're doing. Are you getting this point? So two things are there. One, rename the SEZs as economic and employment enclaves. Second, instead of giving incentives only based on exports, give incentives based upon exports, jobs, technology adoption, and value addition. Second, just like China, we need to focus upon less number of large size SEZs, locate SEZs closer to the ports, and ensure that we have set up SEZs in the industrial corridors. Third, connect SEZs with the multimodal logistics. Fourth, remember the last class we had discussed the concept of harmonized list of infrastructure sector. So if a particular sector is put under the harmonized list, such a sector will be given the status of infrastructure, and automatically it will get number of benefits, right? So similarly, the SEZ units should get the infrastructure status. To strengthen dispute redressal mechanism, we have to set up arbitration and commercial courts. And lastly, we have to integrate MSMEs into the 3 E's, that is economic and employment enclaves. So these are the things which you must understand. So let's look at the question here. Look at the question. The SEZs in India have become islands of exports rather than being catalyst of economic growth and development. In the light of this statement, discuss various challenges and concerns with SEZs in India. I've highlighted the suggested answer structure, and I have also included the answer also. So I hope you must be able to go through this answer and understand. And at the same time, I would want each one of you to write answers on your own with respect to this question. Okay, now coming to the next topic, that is national customs duties on capital goods and project imports. Let's understand this. Okay, in this year's budget, the finance minister has announced that the government will phase out customs duties on the capital goods. So as far as your prelims examination is concerned, you must understand as to what are capital goods and also some details about National Capital Goods Policy 2016, which was mentioned in finance minister's budget speech. So let's understand about the capital goods. See, capital goods are basically those goods which are in turn used for manufacturing of other goods or for rendering the services. What are the examples of capital goods? For example, you must have seen in case of textile industry, capital goods are used for manufacturing of textiles, such as power looms. Similarly, in electrical industry, you have capital goods such as boilers, transformers, generators, and so on. They are used for either generation of electricity or for distribution of electricity. Similarly, in food processing industry, you have capital goods which are used for packaging, labeling, and so on. So capital goods are basically those goods which are in turn used to manufacture other goods or for providing services. If you look at the present status of capital goods in India, the capital goods account for 12% of our manufacturing output and almost 2% of India's GDP. So this is a contribution of capital goods as far as the Indian economy is concerned. But the problem here is, even today, 60% of capital goods that we use in India, it is basically imported from other countries. Only 40%, remaining 40% of capital goods, we meet it from our domestic production. So India is a net importer of capital goods. Apart from that, our global share in the export of capital goods, it is hardly 0.8%, which clearly shows that the capital goods industry in case of India has not developed. Question is why? Why has capital goods industry not developed? See, in India, what we do is we allow the industries which need capital goods to import capital goods from other countries at almost 0% customs duty or lower customs duty. So when you allow industries to import capital goods from other countries at lower customs duty, obviously most of the industries will import capital goods from other countries at lower cost. This will in turn affect the domestic manufacturing of capital goods, right? Now, for example, you have this scheme called as project imports. Under this project imports, if you are executing a project, let's say a nuclear power plant, coal mining power plant, or thermal power plant, etc. For executing these projects, you need capital goods, right? To import capital goods for executing these projects, you have to pay very low custom duty. The custom duty under this project imports ranges from 0 to 5%, depending upon the category of the project. Depending upon whether you are executing a nuclear power plant, a thermal power plant, or coal mining, you can import capital goods at a custom duty ranging from 0 to 5%. Apart from that, government is also coming up with a concessional custom duty on capital goods, wherein you can easily import capital goods from other countries at 0% customs duty. So that is a problem as far as Indian economy is concerned. So what the government has done here, you can see, I've discussed this, meaning, significance, present status, discuss the constraints. So government has come up with this National Capital Goods Policy 2016. So please have a look here. The main objective of National Capital Goods Policy, which is important from the perspective of prelims, is first and foremost to increase the contribution of capital goods to the manufacturing sector from present 12% to 25%. As I said, presently capital goods account for how much? 12%. So from 12%, we are wanting to increase it to 25%. And second, as I said, almost 60% of the demand of capital goods we are meeting through imports, and remaining 40% is from the domestic production. So this 40% we want to increase it to 80% by the end of 2025. So we are trying to double the production of capital goods in India. So in pursuance with this particular policy, the budget has made announcement. One, we will start increasing the customs duty on the capital goods slowly, and will increase it to how much? Approximately around 7.5%. So look at the maximum custom duty on the project imports, how much it is? 5%. So from 0 to 5%, this is a range. So we are going to increase it to 7.5%. Apart from that, even today, there are certain advanced capital goods which we do not have the expertise to manufacture, or even if we have an expertise, probably the efficiency with which we can manufacture these capital goods is very poor. So for all such advanced machineries, the government has said customs duty exemptions will continue. So we are going to identify the capital goods which can be manufactured in India. For all such capital goods, we are going to increase the customs duty to 7.5%. For advanced machineries, we'll continue with the custom duty exemptions. Are we clear on this? Yes? Okay. Now coming to the important initiatives related to industry. Not much. Let's quickly go through these initiatives. Okay. The first one is with respect to Atmanirbharta in defense. So what is this initiative as far as defense is concerned? See, we have what is known as defense capital budget. Defense capital budget means how much money the government has set aside for procurement of defense goods. How much money the government has set aside for procurement of defense goods, that is a defense capital budget. So most of you have this perception that defense expenditure is always part of revenue expenditure. It's not always part of revenue expenditure. Some part of our capital expenditure is also defense expenditure, especially the expenditure which we incur for procuring the defense goods. So last year, we had set up 58% of our defense capital budget to procure defense goods from the domestic companies. So 58% of our defense capital budget was set aside for domestic companies. This year, we have increased it to 68%. That's the only announcement, nothing much. Okay, just to ensure Atmanirbhar Bharat in the defense manufacturing. Some basic aspects of defense industry you already know. India, as you know, it is the second largest importer of defense goods after Saudi Arabia. This is the latest data according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Almost 65 to 70% of defense goods which we use in India are imported from other countries. So that is why we need to promote self-sufficiency in defense manufacturing. Next, with respect to MSME sector, we have 4 portals: Udyam portal, eShram portal, NCS portal, and ASEAN portal. All of these portals are going to be interlinked. All of these 4 portals. As far as these 4 portals are concerned, 2 portals are important: Udyam portal and eShram portal. Udyam portal is a portal which is under the Ministry of MSME, and this particular portal is used for registration of new MSMEs. So if you are planning to set up a MSME, once you set up a MSME, you have to register your MSME in the Udyam portal, which is under micro, small and medium enterprise. You'll get a registration certificate. Apart from that, you will be able to avail benefits of various schemes and programs implemented by MSME. Next, you have eShram portal, which is under the Ministry of Labor. eShram portal. This is the first ever national level database of the unorganized workers. This becomes important for the prelims perspective because this portal was recently launched. Under this portal, unorganized workers will be registered. Upon registry, they'll get a unique ID. That's first thing. Second and most important is unorganized workers will also avail accidental insurance cover of ₹2 lakh under Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. Please remember this. Okay. Next, we have National Career Service Portal and Atmanirbhar Skilled Employer Mapping Portal. They are basically used by the people who are searching jobs and the companies who would want to hire people. But the difference here is National Career Service Portal, it is used for all the categories of workers, whereas ASIM portal is mainly used for the skilled workers. That's the only difference. Apart from this, this portal is under the Ministry of Labor, and ASIM portal is under the Ministry of Skill Development. Please remember this. Next is the RAMP program. RAMP program here is to enhance the overall productivity and efficiency of the micro, small, and medium enterprises. This RAMP program has been formulated based upon the recommendations of UK Sinha Committee. Under this RAMP program, we are going to set up a high-level MSME council in order to promote coordination between multiple ministries and departments. And please remember that this RAMP program, it is funded by World Bank. With respect to telecom sector, not much of announcements. Rollout of 5G, PLI scheme for design-led manufacturing, 5% of Universal Service Obligation Fund to be added for broadband mobile services, execution of BharatNet project in PPP mode. Not major announcements. These are the 4 announcements. Okay. Next, the last, another 2 initiatives. One is sustainable development. After this, we will take up the most important one, that is the tax proposals introduced in this year's budget. And as you know, one of the most important tax proposal is with respect to taxing of virtual digital assets. So once I complete these 2 things, I'll come to that part. So it won't take much more than say 10 to 15 minutes. So I'll come to that part. So with respect to sustainable development, 2 things are important here. Please remember this. One is biomass co-firing, and second one is promotion of ethanol blended fuel. So these 2 things are important. So let's understand these, starting with biomass co-firing. What do you mean by biomass co-firing? So look at the word co-firing. Co-firing means you're using 2 fuels. You're using 2 fuels. These 2 fuels are burned together in order to generate electricity. So that's a biomass co-firing. That's a co-firing. When you use biomass co-firing, it means you're using coal. Along with the coal, you're using biomass. So biomass and coal are mixed together. They're burned together in order to generate electricity. So that's the concept of biomass co-firing. If you look at biomass, that is the agricultural residue. The agricultural residue cannot be directly burnt in the thermal power plants. So what we do is, this agricultural residue or the biomass, we convert into dense particles known as biomass pellets. These biomass pellets and coal is combinedly burnt in order to generate electricity. What do you think are the benefits of biomass co-firing? One, large number of people, farmers, they burn their agricultural residue, basically stubble burning, which in turn leads to the air pollution. Secondly, if you promote biomass co-firing, can I say we will be able to efficiently utilize agricultural residue, reduce indoor air pollution, reduce urban air pollution. Secondly, we'll be able to provide good income to the farmers. And third and most important is, can I say that demand for coal will reduce? Demand for coal will reduce or not? Because you're using biomass with the coal, demand for coal will reduce. So right now, in order to promote biomass co-firing, we are already implementing a initiative known as Samarth. So this is an initiative which we are already launched. So it's not a new initiative which has been launched in the budget. This is an ongoing initiative, but the finance minister has made a reference to this Samarth initiative. As you can see, it is executed by Ministry of Power. It will help us reduce coal consumption, reduce carbon dioxide emissions, and efficient utilization of agricultural residue. Right now, the biomass co-firing is up to 5%. So we use 5% biomass pellets with 95% coal. In future, from 5%, we are going to move towards 7%. So 7% biomass pellets and remaining 93% would be coal. So that is Samarth initiative. Please remember this from the perspective of your prelims examination. Okay. Next is promotion of ethanol blended fuel. What is ethanol? See, ethanol, as you know, it is basically a biofuel which is derived from various sugarcane sources as well as from destroyed food grains. So that is bioethanol. And this bioethanol we are trying to blend with the petrol. So we had come up with the ethanol blended program way back in the year 2003. And our initial target was to have 5% ethanol blending with the petrol. The idea was to reduce the import bill of petroleum products and to promote green mobility. Later, we came up with a target that by end of 2022, we must provide for 10% ethanol blending, that is E10. And by the end of 2030, we must provide for 20% ethanol blending, that is E20. So this target initially was what? 2030. But if you have been following newspapers, you must be knowing that recently Prime Minister Modi has decided to prepone this target. From 2030, now we are targeting E20 by 2025. So 5 years before. So please remember this. Apart from that, under this ethanol blending, we are following this administered pricing mechanism, APM. APM basically tells us as to what should be the price of ethanol for selling to the oil marketing companies, OMCs. So here, as far as ethanol, which is produced from sugarcane sources, for example, ethanol which is produced from sugar molasses, that is a byproduct of sugar industry, or from sugar syrup, at what price that ethanol should be sold? That price is decided by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. As far as the ethanol which is produced from destroyed food grains is concerned, government is not setting the price there. The price is decided by the oil marketing companies themselves. So please remember about this administered pricing mechanism in the ethanol. And recently, Niti Aayog has come up with a roadmap to have E20, that is 20% ethanol blending by the end of 2025. Accordingly, Niti Aayog has highlighted as to what challenges we may face to have E20 by 2025. The first challenge which the Niti Aayog has highlighted is, right now, if you look at the overall production, domestic production of ethanol, it is hardly around 700 liters. And to have E20 by 2025, we need 1,000 liters. So we need to address the demand supply mismatch, increase the production of ethanol. That's the first thing. Second, most of the vehicles used in India, they can perform efficiently on E5, that is 5% ethanol blending. But if you're using E10 or E20, concerns have been raised that the fuel efficiency of the vehicle will reduce. Please remember this from the perspective of prelims examination. So please remember this, that if we increase the ethanol blending in the petrol, the efficiency of the vehicle may come down, fuel efficiency may come down. So accordingly, Niti Aayog has highlighted that we need to design better vehicles to compensate for the loss of fuel efficiency. And right now, most of the ethanol is produced from water intensive crops such as sugarcane. So we need to promote water saving crops such as maize in order to increase ethanol blending. So all of these aspects is important from the perspective of your prelims examination. And these things important from the perspective of the mains examination, particularly with respect to your environment. Okay, let's say if you get a question as to what are the challenges with respect to ethanol blended program in India, we can write these points. As far as the budget announcement is concerned, no major announcement, because I thought that probably government will try to address some of these things, but government did not come up with any major initiative. But one thing what the government has done is government has decided to increase the excise duty on the unblended petrol by ₹2 per liter. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, nothing major initiative as far as ethanol blended program is concerned. Okay, now coming to the social sector initiatives, once again, nothing much. Only things is that finance minister has made a reference to Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission, which the government had already launched before, nothing new here. And in case if you want to know about Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission, I myself has covered this topic in the DNS. So you can simply search for Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission. You'll get to know all the details. In fact, the screenshot which I have taken, it is directly from the DNS. Next, with respect to social sector initiatives, nothing much. For example, a high-level committee will be set up on the urban development. Women empowerment, once again, no major initiatives, but finance minister has made a mention that for women empowerment, we have come up with 3 schemes. These schemes have already launched before only, but she has just made a mention. And if you want to know the details of these 3 schemes, I have incorporated this in the table. Okay, I don't want to really explain the schemes because that is really boring for me as well, for you also. Okay, so these are the different schemes. Now, where can you use these schemes? In GS paper 2, you have a topic, schemes and policies related to the vulnerable sections, right? So in GS paper 2, probably while writing an answer related to women empowerment, you could use these points. For education and skill development, this is one major initiative which I feel, launch of digital university. What is a digital university? Digital university is basically a university where there will be no offline classes. All the teaching, all the education will be imported through online mode. So that is a digital university. Some of you, if you have been reading newspapers, you'll probably know that Kerala has recently become the first state in India to launch India's first digital university. India's first digital university has been launched by Kerala. So now government of India wants to launch its own digital university. But as of now, we don't know the details as to what kind of courses will be offered, whether it will be diploma courses, undergraduate programs, or postgraduate programs. We don't know the details, but only thing is that we'll be launching a digital university. And a new portal has been launched for skilling of people, that is Desh. That's it. And right now we are implementing a scheme known as Aspirational District Program. Aspirational District Program seeks to bring about holistic and comprehensive development of almost around 112 most backward districts in India. And please remember, Aspirational District Program is implemented by Niti Aayog. Very important. Aspirational District Program is implemented by Niti Aayog. Because of the Aspirational District Program, we have been able to improve the socio-economic indicators in the most backward districts of India. But the problem here is, in these most backward districts, even today, there are certain blocks which even today have remained underdeveloped. So now we are going to focus upon aspirational blocks. So from aspirational districts, we are going to focus upon aspirational blocks. That is the most underdeveloped blocks in the aspirational districts. Are we clear now? Yes? Okay. Okay, now coming to the last section, I would need your half an hour, the next half an hour to complete this. And this is the most important part. The last theme is with respect to theme of public finance. As far as this particular theme is concerned, you should know these things. That is basics about government finances, a snapshot of government finances, all of these things. which are important from the perspective of your prelims examination. And next one is, what are the important tax proposals in the union budget? As far as I'm concerned, these two things I will be taking up as part of the economic survey discussion. So in the economic survey, you must have seen the second or third chapter is with respect to public finance. So I'll integrate the public finance chapter of economic survey with the rest of this particular theme, so that you have a much better understanding about the government's finances. As far as this class is concerned, my focus will be on the important tax proposals. One of the most important one happens to be the scheme for taxation of virtual digital assets. Are we clear? So for the next half an hour, we'll focus on the tax proposal, starting with the scheme for taxation of virtual digital assets. So let's start with this. Most of you already know that the government of India has finally decided to put a tax on the virtual digital assets. So before discussing this, let me first give you the background related to this particular topic. See, right now, most of you must be knowing that Indian economy has seen a rapid growth of various crypto assets, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and so on. Right now, crypto assets are not considered to be illegal. They're not considered to be illegal. It means that you can very well buy crypto assets. You can buy and sell crypto assets through various private crypto exchanges, such as the CoinSwitch, Kuber, DCX, and so on. Before this, I hope some of you must be knowing that earlier, Subhash Chandra Ghar committee was appointed, right? Subhash Chandra Ghar committee had recommended the government that we need to ban the cryptocurrencies and in its place have to introduce central bank digital currency. So based upon the recommendations of Subhash Chandra Ghar committee, the government came up with a bill known as Cryptocurrency and Official Digital Currency Bill 2021. This bill was supposed to be introduced in the winter session of the parliament, which just got concluded. That is before the budget session. Government was supposed to introduce this particular bill, but government did not introduce the bill. Initially, the government wanted to completely ban the cryptocurrencies. That is what we know from the media. But now what the government has done is, government from completely banning cryptocurrencies is slowly coming towards taxing the cryptocurrencies, crypto assets. The question is, why is the government taxing the crypto assets? Why has the government declared this in the budget of this year? Let me tell you, even before this year's budget, I repeat, even before this year's budget, people in India were already paying the taxes on the crypto transactions, even before the budget. So whatever income people used to earn from trading of crypto assets, they used to add it up to their annual income and pay the tax before itself. So what used to happen was, in our Income Tax Act, IT Act, we did not have any explicit provision related to crypto assets, no explicit provisions. But what people used to do was, simply to avoid harassment by the tax officials, what people used to do, whatever income they used to earn from trading of crypto assets, let's say I've earned, say, 1 lakh from trading of crypto assets, that 1 lakh I used to add it to my annual income and pay tax to the government. But the problem was, there was lack of clarity. There was ambiguity with respect to taxation of crypto assets. The most important ambiguity was, Income Tax Act did not have a provision only about the crypto assets. Are you getting this point? Now, this is where it becomes interesting. Government, when it has taxed cryptocurrencies, what the government has said is, we have made it simpler for the people to pay the taxes. What provision was not there explicitly, that provision we have explicitly added. So what the government has done now is, in the Income Tax Act, we have included an explicit provision related to the crypto assets. So government is saying, look, you were paying tax before itself. Now what we have done, we have clarified that thing. That's the only thing. But you should not take that as the meaning that crypto assets are legal. This is where it becomes interesting. Government has said, just because we are taxing crypto assets does not mean that the crypto assets are going to be legal in future. What we have basically done, already you are paying tax, we have clarified those things, nothing else. Are we clear on this? Okay, so government has finally said that will start taxing the crypto assets, and government has come up with the explicit provisions in the Income Tax Act. But why are crypto experts happy? Why are they happy? They are happy because government is slowly changing its stance. सबसे पहले government क्या बोल रहा था? We will ban cryptocurrencies. Slowly now, government has brought in explicit provision for taxing cryptocurrencies. And crypto experts believe that this is probably a first step towards regulation of crypto assets. So in future, rather than banning crypto assets, government may go for regulation. Are we clear on this? Yes. So having discussed the background, now we are going to discuss as to what is the scheme for taxation of virtual digital assets. Now, various things which become important from the perspective of a prelims examination is, one thing, what is the definition of virtual digital assets? Now look at the word. Has the government used the word cryptocurrencies? Has the government used the word crypto assets? What word the government is using? Virtual digital assets. I'm going to explain to you the meaning of virtual digital assets as defined by the government, which is important from the perspective of prelims examination. Second, I'm going to explain to you as to how these virtual digital assets are going to be taxed. Are we clear on this? And then let's take a stand as to what extent it is good or bad. So all of this I'll be discussing as part of the economic survey. Don't worry about it. Okay. Please have a look at this. Now, this is the most interesting part because I took a lot of time. I took a lot of time to actually understand the meaning of virtual digital asset as given by the government. Because if you actually go through the Income Tax Act or the finance bill of this year, the kind of definition which the government has used, it is very complicated. So let me simplify this for you. So look at this word which the government has used, virtual digital asset. First thing is it has not used the word currency. It has not used the word currency. The reason here is, as you know, we are going to issue central bank digital currency by the RBI. So in future, digital currency would mean only the central bank digital currency and not other cryptocurrencies. That's the first thing. Okay. Now, what is the definition of the virtual digital asset? Look at the wording there. This wording can be directly asked as a statement in the prelims examination. That is why I've incorporated here. So virtual digital asset could be any information, code, number, or a token which is generated through the cryptographic means. It could be an information, code, number, or a token. And what are the characteristics of this virtual digital assets? Now, this is the most interesting part. Characteristic is it could have an inherent value. I'll explain this. It could have an inherent value, intrinsic value. It could function as a store of value, or it could be a unit of account. Please concentrate on these words, or. It could have an intrinsic value, or a function of store of value, or a unit of account. And this word is very important, and used for financial transaction or investment. So let me tell you as to, when you look at this definition, what kind of crypto assets will come under the definition of virtual digital asset. First and foremost, I hope all of you know about Bitcoins, right? I don't have to explain the blockchain technology, Bitcoins, everything you already know. But let's say you know about the Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin here, apart from Bitcoin, you have something called as altcoins. Altcoins are all other crypto assets except Bitcoin. So anything which is alternative to Bitcoin, we call them as altcoins. So altcoins examples are Ethereum, Ripple, Dogecoin, Litecoin. So anything which is except Bitcoin, we call them as altcoin. So both Bitcoin or altcoin, they have a function of store of value. Their value is getting stored, right? Bitcoin value is getting stored in the Bitcoin, or say other altcoins. They can be used as a unit of account, that is for payment for goods and services, right? So both Bitcoin and altcoin have a store of value. They have a unit of account. So that is where these two will come into picture here. Do Bitcoins or altcoins have inherent value? Do Bitcoins and altcoins have intrinsic value? They don't have intrinsic value. Bitcoins and altcoins do not have intrinsic value. But why has the government used this word inherent value? The government has used this word inherent value because government does not want to bring just Bitcoin or altcoins into the definition of virtual digital assets. Government wants to bring even the stable coins also into the definition of virtual digital assets. Now, what are stable coins? Now, stable coins are basically those crypto assets whose value is linked to a value of a currency. Since a value of a stable coin is linked to value of currency, can I say the stable coin has intrinsic value? Yes, stable coin has an intrinsic value. For example, remember the last class I told you about Facebook's Diem? Facebook initially wanted to introduce a currency called as Libra. Now its currency is known as Diem. This Diem will be linked to the value of dollar. So one Diem will be $1. So this Diem will have an inherent value. Apart from that, since Diem value is linked to dollar, Diem is considered to be more stable in comparison to Bitcoin, right? So it will have less volatility. Second is, the third part is, the supply of stable coins is limited. Why is it limited? Now, for example, Facebook is going to issue Diem. It can issue only so much amount of Diems as equivalent to the amount of dollars Facebook has. If Facebook has $1 million, it can issue only 1 million Diems. If it has $10 million, it will issue only 10 million Diems. Are you getting this point? Yes. Apart from Diem, you have other stable coins in India. For example, you have True INR. True INR is a stable coin whose value, as the name suggests, is linked to the value of rupee. 1 rupee is equal to 1 True INR, stable coin. Less volatility. Whichever entity is issuing True INR, it has to have rupee first. So if it is issuing 1000 True INR, it should have 1000 rupees. So that is why its supply is limited, right? So government has used this word inherent value because government wants to bring even the stable coins also into the definition of virtual digital assets. So if you come across a question, which among the following can be considered as virtual digital assets? What should be the answer? All the Bitcoins, altcoins, as well as stable coins. And next and most important is, the government is going to put tax even on the non-fungible tokens. Government has explicitly said non-fungible tokens will also be considered as virtual digital assets. Now, what are non-fungible tokens? Now, this is once again very technical, but let me simplify this as much as possible. Let me first, make you understand the difference between fungibility and non-fungibility. Let's understand the difference between fungibility and non-fungibility. Now, when do you say that a particular thing is fungible? See, when you say something is fungible, it means that there are more than one things. There are more than one things whose value is same. You have more than one thing whose value is same, and one thing can be replaced by another thing. I repeat, fungibility means you have more than one thing whose values are same. One thing can be replaced with another. But let me simplify this further. The best example of fungibility is rupee or money itself. For example, let's say I have 10 rupee 10 rupee note. Now, can I say, let's say I have two 10 rupees banknote. These two 10 rupees banknote have same value, right? They have same value. One 10 rupee banknote can be easily replaced with another 10 rupee banknote because the value is same. Are you getting this? Further to simplify this further, let's say I take 10 rupees note from you. I borrow 10 rupees from you. Do I have to give back the same 10 rupee note? Only then will you accept? Not necessary, right? I can give you some other 10 rupee banknote with some other serial number, but both the values are same. One thing can be replaced with another. Think about Bitcoins. Are Bitcoins fungible? You have two Bitcoins. Value of both the Bitcoins is same, right? Value of both the Bitcoins is same. One Bitcoin can be exchanged with another. So Bitcoins are what? Fungible tokens. Are you getting this point? Because one Bitcoin can be replaced with another Bitcoin, exchanged with other Bitcoin because the value is same. So all such things we call it as fungibility. Now, what is non-fungibility then? What is non-fungible? Non-fungibility means, in case of fungibility we discussed, there may be one thing whose value is same and one thing can be replaced with another. In case of non-fungibility, you have one thing which is very, very unique. You have just one thing which is very, very unique. And since it is very unique, it cannot be exchanged with something else. I repeat, in case of non-fungibility, you have just one thing which is very, very unique. And that thing you cannot replace with another. Examples. Let's say I have a flight ticket. I have a flight ticket and you also have a flight ticket. My flight ticket will have my own details. My flight ticket will have my name. It will have my arrival and destination stations. Your flight ticket will have your name. Your flight ticket will have your arrival and destination time. Can I exchange my flight ticket with your flight ticket? Can I say both the flight tickets are very unique? Yes. Are you with me on this? Two flight tickets are very unique. One flight ticket I cannot exchange with another. Such things we call it as non-fungible. But the question is, what do you mean by non-fungible tokens then? Non-fungible tokens are digital representation of the most unique things in the world. I repeat, non-fungible tokens are the digital representation of the most unique things in the world. So something which is unique, which people like, that unique thing is converted into a digital format, and that becomes a non-fungible token. You must be thinking, sir, can you give some examples on this? Have you heard of Jack Dorsey, the Twitter CEO then? Jack Dorsey, right? So what Jack Dorsey did was, his first tweet on Twitter, he converted his first tweet on Twitter into a non-fungible token and he auctioned this. And can you believe for how much money it was sold? $2.9 million. You are paying $2.9 million for the first tweet of Jack Dorsey. Now, if I'm using a Twitter, I can very well log into my Twitter profile. I can go and look at that first tweet of Jack Dorsey. But what Jack Dorsey has done, it is very unique because he has tweeted it for the first time, his first tweet. That first tweet, which is unique, he has converted into digital form, non-fungible token, and he has sold it. You must be wondering, why are people even buying these non-fungible tokens? Because, I can also see that non-fungible, I can also see his first tweet on the Twitter. But why are still people buying it? Right? People are rich. People can boast in front of their family and friends, look, I have a non-fungible token of Jack Dorsey. Are you getting this point? Similarly, recently it was reported in media that even Amitabh Bachchan has also issued his non-fungible token. So what Amitabh Bachchan has done is he has converted the poetries into non-fungible token. Am I audible now? Please respond to the chat box. Now I'm audible, right? Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. My battery, audio system's battery ran out. Sorry for the inconvenience. Chal raha hai. Okay, fine. So as talking to you about the non-fungible tokens. So as I said, Amitabh Bachchan's poetry was also converted into non-fungible token. So if you search for Amitabh Bachchan's poetry or his father's poetry, you can very well find his poetry on the internet. But what he has done, he has converted into non-fungible token and he has sold it. So people who are big fans of Amitabh Bachchan will probably buy his non-fungible token, and it is mostly a kind of a matter of pride for some of the people. So when you look at non-fungible tokens, they are basically the digital representation of certain unique things such as art, painting, poetry, even autograph also. So it has in fact reported in the media that even Salman Khan is also going to come up with his non-fungible token. So in case if you're a fan of Salman Khan, which I am not, but you can very well buy his non-fungible tokens as well. So Archit, I'll come to your doubt, don't worry. So this is the non-fungible token. So we are going to bring everything under the sun as far as the definition of virtual digital asset is concerned. I am very much fascinated by the definition given by the government with respect to virtual digital asset. The reason is, whatever definition the government has given of virtual digital asset, this definition is very wide, very comprehensive in comparison to a definition given by Financial Action Task Force. Second, government has sought to ensure that nothing gets out of the ambit of tax, be it Bitcoin, be it altcoin, even the stable coin or the non-fungible tokens. And not just that, government has inserted another clause also in the Income Tax Act. The clause says that government can declare anything in future as virtual digital asset through a gazette notification. So in future, because of technological advancements, if you come across certain crypto asset which is not falling into any of these characteristics or definition, the government can on its own declare that so and so will be considered as virtual digital assets. So can you see the foresight of the government? Government has ensured that not just the present crypto assets, but even the future crypto assets that may come into being because of technological advancements, even they will be considered as virtual digital assets. Yeah. So this is the virtual digital assets. Now let's understand as to how we are going to tax the virtual digital assets. Now let's say this is me. Let's say my annual income is rupees 12 lakh. Now, how will I pay tax on my crypto assets? Let us discuss that. Now, what I have to do is, whatever income which I am earning, I am required to differentiate my income earned from transfer of virtual digital assets with the income that I'm earning from different sources. So whatever income I'm earning from crypto assets, that income I need to differentiate from digital assets. I repeat, out of this 12 lakh, I'm earning 10 lakh rupees through all other sources of income, such as say salary, profession, and so on. On this 10 lakh, whatever is the IT slab I belong to, I will pay income tax depending upon the slab. Are we clear on this part? As far as virtual digital assets is concerned, whatever income I'm earning from virtual digital assets, in this case, let's say 2 lakhs. So that 2 lakhs, on that separate 2 lakh, I will be required to pay a flat tax rate of 30%. 30% of 2 lakhs, how much it is? 60,000. Are you getting this point? So I'll make it more simpler for you. Whatever income I'm earning, except from virtual digital assets, I'll pay tax. But is it a flat tax which I'm paying? I'm not paying any flat tax. I'm paying tax according to the tax slab I belong to, right? But if I'm earning income from virtual digital assets, is there any tax slab? No, it's a flat tax rate of 30%. So irrespective whether you earn 5 lakhs or whether you earn 50 lakhs, everyone would have to pay 30% tax on crypto assets. Are we clear now? So if you understand this thing, you can have a look. Say this person earns 10 lakh from all the sources. On this 10 lakh, he'll pay income tax as per the existing tax slab. He's earning 2 lakh from the transfer of virtual digital assets, on this 2 lakh, he'll pay a capital gains tax of 30%, that is 60,000. But once again, another thing which I appreciated with respect to the government's definition is, government has not said tax on sale of virtual digital assets. What has the government said? Look at the word, income from transfer of virtual digital assets. It's not tax on sale of virtual digital assets. It is income from transfer of virtual digital assets. So what do you mean income from transfer of virtual digital assets? How are we going to calculate it? To make your understanding simpler, easier to understand, breaking down into most simplest understanding, I have prepared this investment portfolio of a particular person. So let's simplify this as to how we will calculate the crypto tax. Not that important from the perspective of prelims, but here what is important is this part. This part is going to be important. So let me going to simplify this. Let's say you have an investor A. Please concentrate here. Let's say you have an investor A. This investor A has made investment in different asset classes. Let's say he has made investment in virtual digital assets. He has made invested in shares, mutual funds, etc. So let's try to calculate his tax liability as per the new tax law. First thing here, let's say this person has made a Bitcoin. So here we are talking on an annual basis, okay? We are talking on an annual basis for one complete year. Say he has purchased Bitcoins worth rupees 4 lakh and he has sold them at rupees 6 lakh. So what is the profit here? Profit is how much? 2 lakhs, right? Second, he has purchased Ethereum at 4 lakh and he has sold at rupees 3 lakh. What's the loss here? He has incurred a loss of how much? 1 lakh. Apart from that, this person may have also received gift. He may have received Dogecoin in the form of a gift worth rupees 1 lakh. Clear? And let's say he has invested in shares and mutual funds. Let's say he has invested in shares. He has purchased shares worth rupees 4 lakh, on which he has made a loss of rupees 1 lakh. So now let's try to understand his tax liability. First thing first, how will you calculate his tax liability? How much money has he earned from Bitcoin? Look at this, 1 lakh rupees. Has he earned any money on Ethereum? No, he has suffered a loss, right? Now, the first thing here, which is in the finance bill, is losses against one virtual digital asset can be adjusted against the profits on other virtual digital assets. And this is what has been there given in the finance bill. What does this mean? Let me simplify this. How much profits are made on Bitcoin? 2 lakh, right? I made 2 lakh rupees profit on Bitcoin. On Ethereum, I made a loss of how much? 1 lakh, right? Now, what I can do is my profits on one virtual digital asset, I can offset or I can compensate or I can adjust it against the losses on other virtual digital asset. So my profit on Bitcoin, I can adjust it against the losses which I've incurred on Ethereum. So how much will be 2 minus 1? 2 minus 1 will be how much? 1 lakh. So what is my net profits? Net profit is 1 lakh. So when you're paying tax on crypto assets, it is the net profits, net income that you have to take into consideration. Profits on one virtual digital assets can be claimed against losses on other virtual digital assets. So 2 minus 1, that is my 1 lakh. Okay? Second, gifts on virtual digital assets will be taxed in the hands of recipient. Let's say here I have received a Dogecoin worth rupees 1 lakh. Let's say you, as my friend, you have given me a gift of 1 lakh Dogecoin. The government says, why should you alone should get the gift? I should also get a gift also, right? So government says, if you are getting a gift, I should also get a share of that gift. So government says, if you are getting 1 lakh rupees, the Dogecoin, you add that 1 lakh rupees to the income. Are you getting this? The word here, what the government has used, the income from the transfer of virtual digital assets. The government has not used sale of virtual digital assets. Are you getting this point? So if you're earning gift, if you're getting a gift, particularly if the value of the gift is more than 50,000, you have to add it up to your income. So how much is this? You have earned 2 lakh rupees on Bitcoin. You suffered a loss of 1 lakh rupees on Ethereum. So your net profit is 1 lakh, plus you have got a gift on Dogecoin. So 1 plus 2 is 2 lakhs, right? So this is your income. Next, if you look at my shares and mutual funds, I have suffered a loss of 1 lakh, right? I suffered a 1 lakh. Now, this is the most interesting part. Gift by relatives is also taxable. See here, Amrit Rajan, it's like it's only the close relatives. The government has defined as to what are close relatives, such as close family members, which could be your wife, your father-in-law, daughter, mother-in-law. Some close family members, only if they give gift to you, that is non-taxable. Everything else is taxable. Now look at this, profits on virtual digital assets. See, let's say I'm earning profits on one virtual digital asset. I can offset this profit against losses on other virtual digital asset. I can do that. But my profits on virtual digital assets cannot be offset against losses on other asset classes. What are the other asset classes? My shares and mutual funds. So if I'm suffered a loss of 1 lakh, I cannot offset this 1 lakh against my profits on virtual digital assets. Profits on one virtual digital asset can be offset against losses of only other virtual digital asset. Profits on one virtual digital asset cannot be offset against losses on other asset classes, which means I cannot claim this as a compensation. Are you getting this point? 1 lakh. So this is the third point. And the next and most important is, if I'm spending some money on trading on cryptocurrencies, crypto assets, let's say I have bought 2 to 3 computers. I am attending some online course to understand about crypto transaction. And let's say I've spent 1 lakh rupees. Question is, can I claim this deduction? Can I deduct this amount by my net income from virtual digital assets? Government has said no. So that expenditure which you are incurring, it's completely your expenditure. We have got nothing to do with that. You cannot claim deduction for that. Are you getting this point? So if you see my net taxability here, 2 lakh profit I've earned on Bitcoin, 1 lakh loss I've incurred on Ethereum, 1 lakh rupees I've got in the form of gift. So how much is this? Total is 2 lakh. Total income from the transfer of virtual digital assets. Accordingly, capital gains tax of 30%. And this is irrespective of my annual income. Are we clear on this, all of you? Let's look at the next part. Apart from that, the government has also sought to introduce TDS, tax deducted at source, TDS. Now, government has introduced this TDS because the government would want to keep a tab, or government would want to know information about the people who are doing trading in the crypto transactions. So to know about who all are trading in crypto transactions, the government has introduced the TDS, tax deducted at source. So here, what the government has done is TDS, it will be applicable on the buyer, the person who is buying. And this person will be required to pay TDS if the transaction is above a certain monetary threshold. For example, if this buyer is a company, he will be required to pay TDS if the transaction is more than rupees 10,000. And if this person is an individual, he will be required to pay TDS of 1% if the value of the transaction is more than 50,000. Are we clear? How does this work? Now let's say the buyer, let's say an individual is buying Bitcoins worth 1 lakh from the seller. So what this person will do, buyer, is he will deduct the tax at source, TDS. How much? 1%. 1% of 1 lakh, how much it is? 1,000. So this 1,000 he will pay to the government, and only the 99,000 he will give to the seller. So this is the TDS, tax deducted at source. Basically, in order to keep a track on the people who are doing various kinds of transactions on the virtual digital assets. Okay. Now, these are the proposals of the government with respect to virtual digital assets. So now, if you see, first thing here, with respect to government proposal on the crypto transactions, crypto assets, there has been a mixed feeling among the crypto investors. On one hand, people are saying that the government is imposing huge amount of tax, 30%. And that 30% is imposed irrespective of the tax slab you belong to, flat rate of 30%. And usually 30%, it is 30% tax is imposed on activities which are considered to be very speculative in nature. So that's one thing. So one problem is with respect to the higher tax. On the other hand, some people are happy because at least the government has changed its stance. Because people are happy because this is the first step towards their regulation. So in future, probably the government may not go for completely banning the virtual digital assets. Government may go for regulating. So since the government has imposed the taxes, it will give much greater clarity as far as crypto assets is concerned. So there's a mixed feeling. But at the same time, even today, let me tell you, there are a lot of things on which we need clarification. There are a lot of things on which we need clarification. For example, the government has not said as to what will happen to the income earned from mining of virtual digital assets, crypto mining. If I'm involved in mining of crypto assets and if I'm earning income, will I be required to pay tax on that? No clarification from the government side. As far as my perception is concerned, it could be because of the fact that crypto mining in case of India, it is probably not that strong as compared to developed economies. So it is still growing. That could be one of the reasons. But the most important reason here could be, it is very difficult to keep track on the people who are involved in crypto mining. Are you getting this point? It is very difficult to keep a tab on the people who are doing crypto mining. Most of the people, they remain anonymous, and it's very difficult to keep a tab on that. So even if we impose taxes on crypto mining, people may not pay the taxes. And slowly the government has to build up its capacity to tax the income earned from crypto mining. So that's a thing. Apart from that, there's another problem with respect to the GST on the crypto transactions. See, when you do transactions on crypto exchanges, right? The crypto exchanges such as CoinSwitch, Kuber, etc., they earn commission. The question is whether this GST, will it be applicable on the value of the transaction, or will it be applicable on the commission earned by the crypto exchanges? For example, let's say you're doing a transaction worth ₹100, out of which the crypto exchange is earning a commission of ₹10. So whether the GST should be applicable on ₹10, that is the commission earned by crypto exchange, or will it be applicable on the transaction of ₹100? Still lack of clarity on that. So like I said, bringing crypto assets under the ambit of taxation, it's an evolving process. There are certain things, a lot of things which still need clarification, but I'm pretty sure that over a period of time, things will start evolving and we'll have much greater clarity as to how and what kind of reforms the government will introduce as far as taxing the crypto transactions is concerned. And in case if you want to know more about the challenges in taxing crypto transactions, or what strategies we must adopt in correctly collecting the taxes from the crypto transactions, I have covered it in the DNS recently. I'm not sure about the date, but I guess it is 17th of Jan 2022, before the budget. Just check that, 17 Jan 2022, in that particular DNS, I have covered what are the problems with respect to the taxing of cryptocurrencies. If it is not 17, it must be around that same week only. You'll get the video. Okay. So this is about the crypto transactions. So let's move to the other tax proposals quickly. The next tax proposal is with respect to change in the tax structure for the cooperative societies. So what are the cooperative changes here? See, Modi government is giving a lot of push to the cooperative sector. As you know, we are trying to set up farmer producer organizations. Apart from that, we have come up with a new ministry for cooperation. So accordingly, in order to give a fillip to the cooperative societies, government has changed the tax structure. So let's understand that. If you look at the earlier tax regime, that is before this year's budget, the cooperative societies were paying different tax rate depending upon their income. For example, up to 10,000, 10%, up to 20,000, that is 10,000 to 20,000, 20%, and more than 20,000, 30%. Apart from that, there was a surcharge also. Surcharge, as you know, it is an additional tax. It is imposed on the entities whose income is above the certain threshold. So in case of cooperative societies, if the cooperative society's annual income was more than 1 crore, they were required to pay a surcharge of 12% of the income tax which they are paying. For example, let's say the annual income of a cooperative society is 1 crore. So 30% of 1 crore, it will pay as income tax. Then convert how much income tax it is paying. 30% of 1 crore is 30 lakhs. So 12% of 30 lakhs, it is to pay as surcharge. Are we clear on this? Apart from that, see, I've discussed about minimum alternate tax, MAT. Similar to that, cooperatives pay alternate minimum tax of 18.5%. So this was the earlier tax regime. How this tax regime has got changed? In terms of tax slab, this has remained same. But changes is with respect to surcharge and alternate minimum tax. So if you look at the surcharge here, what we have done is for surcharge, we have introduced 2 slabs. If the income is between 1 crore to 10 crore, they will pay a surcharge of 7%. Earlier, they are paying how much? 12%. So they'll pay low surcharge. Okay. Second, if you see alternate minimum tax, the minimum alternate tax for the companies, it is 15%. But earlier, the cooperative societies used to pay tax of 18.5%. So to have a level playing field, we have brought down the alternate minimum tax for the cooperative societies to 15%. So that's the first change. Second one is provision of updated tax return. So what is this updated tax return? See, whenever I'm paying income tax, I am required to add all my sources of income and then pay the tax. It may so happen that in a particular year, I must have forgotten or accidentally, I must have not added one particular source of income. Let's say I have not added my professional income to my annual income. And without adding my professional income, I have paid the tax to the government. Now, what happens presently is the kind of technology which income tax officials are now using. They'll get to know that I've missed out adding a particular source of income. So they will slap a IT notice on me, and then the litigation and all takes place. So in order to avoid all of this, Finance Minister has come up with the updated tax return. Under this updated tax return, if for 1 year, if I have forgotten or if I've accidentally missed out adding one particular or 2 sources of income, then I have 2 more years to correct my mistake. For the next 2 years, I can add my sources of income and then pay the tax. So that is the provision of updated tax return. Next is with respect to the incentives for the startups. Now, how do you define a startup in India? That is a very important thing. When do you call a company a startup? A company is considered as a startup for a period of 10 years from its date of incorporation. So if a company is set up in the year 2020, for the next 10 years, that is until the end of 2030, it will be considered as a startup. But the condition here is, in these 10 years, the annual turnover of a company should not exceed more than 100 crores. Are we getting this? For a period of 10 years, a company will be considered a startup. But during any of those 10 years, its turnover should not exceed to more than 100 crores. So now, with respect to the startups, what we do is we give 3 years tax exemption to the startups. For 3 years, they don't have to pay the tax. But the condition is that these startup companies, they were required to be set up before 1st of April 2022. Only if you have set up your startup before 1st of April 2022, you'll get a tax exemption for next 3 years. But we know because of the COVID, because of the poor economic situation, a number of companies were unable to start. So now we have extended this deadline by 1 more year. So now we have said instead of 1st of April 2022, you can set up your startup until the 1st of April 2023, and then you will get a benefit over next 3 years tax exemption. And the last announcement is with respect to extension of the last date for the manufacturing or production. So in case of India, you have 2 types of companies. One is the existing companies, that is old companies. And the other one is the new domestic manufacturing companies. The existing companies right now, they pay a corporate tax of 22%. the new domestic manufacturing companies, they can pay a low tax rate of 15%. So they pay lower tax rate. But how do you distinguish the old company from the new domestic manufacturing company? Government has said, we will consider all the companies as new domestic manufacturing companies, provided they start their manufacturing activity before 1st of March 2023. So any industry which is set up before 1st of March 2023 will consider them as new domestic manufacturing companies. And those companies will have to pay a low tax rate of 15%. Now what we have done, once again, this deadline, we have extended it by 1 more year. Nothing major initiative as such. Okay. So this is it. So this is as far as the analysis of the budget 22-23 is concerned. So as you have seen, we have covered all the major dimensions in this particular budget. We have just not analyzed the budget. We have actually converted the budget into UPSC centric knowledge in terms of both prelims as well as mains. And my idea here is, the idea to cover the budget is, if at all you come across the question in the prelims or the mains examination, not just this year, even for next year also, you should not face any kind of difficulty. That is my idea. So this video classes, these classes as such, they should be a kind of one-stop solution as far as your budget and economic survey preparation is concerned. You should not look at any other sources except these things. Apart from that, what all things we are doing? One is the video, the classes. That's the first thing. Second thing, as I said, we are also coming up. We'll also make live this quiz on the budget and the economic survey. It will be available on the eLearn platform. So please attempt the quiz so that you can understand to what extent you have understood the budget. And third thing here is, as I said, when I'm starting with the economic survey, once again, we'll discuss the economic survey in a similar format. Are we clear? Okay. So in case if you have any doubts, you can start asking your doubts.